The following podcast you're about to listen to is brought to you by the Push Start Media Network, where everything you do in life begins with pushing start. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Your Enthusiasm Podcast, Quick Hits. I am your humble host, Bryce Benjamin, along with my guy, Ed Rueter. And we are discussing on this episode the 2020 outlook for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays is one of those fun, young, up-and-coming teams that has some very exciting young prospects. And if you're a Blue Jays fan, the future is definitely bright. Wouldn't you say so, Ed?
I'd have to agree. There's no way you can look at a roster like this and not be excited to be a Toronto Blue Jays fan. I think they're a couple years removed from really being contenders in a kind of loaded AL East or in a loaded American League in general. But this is a team that, you have to get down to the 8th or 9th guy in the batting order before you don't see an exciting young guy that has the potential to be something really special. So, pretty cool team.
Last year, they finished with a record of 67-95, which gave them 4th place in the AL East. But the thing with them is that they are building towards the future. They called up what I like to call the big three, their top 3 prospects last year, in Bo Bichette, Cavan Biggio, and of course, Vlad Guerrero Jr. Ed, what's your thoughts on those 3 over there?
One of the coolest things that I've seen in baseball across the entire league for years, one of the stories coming up is that these are second-generation stars all coming up right at the same time, all on the same team. You might not see that across the league where, 3 or 4 guys that are second-generation players where their fathers played in the MLB. You might not see that across the entire league.
Yeah.
And we've got 3 players right here on the same team debuting at the same time, all in the top 4 of their team's batting order. It's really exciting.
Yes.
If you're a baseball fan in general, or even better, if you're a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays, it's a really exciting time to watch some baseball.
But I like to link in these guys to to give you a popular reference here. Back in the early 2010s, like 2011, 2012, there was a young OKC team. They had a young Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. And I kind of liken this Toronto Blue Jays team to what that OKC team was, where they was able to come in together, be young, and build a foundation in which they're able to grow together, So I'm hoping some big things for those guys there.
Yeah, man, it seems like to me that analysis is kind of spot on as far as the youth and the excitement around them. I don't know that these players have the ceiling of to put it in perspective of the NBA, like a James Harden or a Russell Westbrook, but these are going to be really great players and just exciting to see them all coming up at once. For a long time in Toronto, there wasn't much to be excited about. They were kind of dwelling around the bottom, not since their days of having like Josh Donaldson and Edwin Encarnacion and Jose Bautista in their prime when they went on some deep runs a few years back. Not a lot of excitement the last few years, but this little core coming up could be something really special. Now,
you said that you look up and down their whole projected batting order there, and pretty much just excitement in all the positions until you get into like the bottom portion, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. And even the guy that's projected to hit 9th, Derek Fisher, even that's a young, exciting outfield prospect. And if it's not him that wins the job, you got another guy, incredibly athletic. I was lucky enough to watch a couple of the Blue Jays spring training games, and the guy who looked like the most athletic player on the field was a guy named Anthony Alford, who I've really liked for a long time. A great prospect. Hasn't exactly turned it into, MLB greatness or even a starting role, but he very well could do that this year. Bat 8th or 9th, and that's an exciting player. But to go through once again, a couple of guys you were talking about, Bo Bichette should be leading off, followed by Cavan Biggio, a guy who I really like in Lourdes Gurriel Jr.
Yeah.
I referenced a player in Hunter Renfroe in one of our other quick hits for the Tampa Bay Rays, and this is a player that I feel is built into that same mold. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to strike out a lot. Mm-hmm. He's not going to have a high batting average, but I could certainly see him swatting 30 or so home runs.
And make sure he's getting that on base percentage up as well. And a couple of numbers here for last year when they called up these 3, like Bo Bichette, he batted .311, had 11 home runs, 21 RBIs, 61 hits, and only 198 at-bats. Biggio batted .234, 16 home runs, 48 RBIs. And then you had Vlad Guerrero Jr. batting .272, 15 home runs, and 69 RBIs for him. So very promising numbers for very young prospects there that came in towards the later of the season there and put up some decent numbers there, would you say?
And I would say also, not only great numbers for these guys at this stage of their career, but these guys were also pushed through the system pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Vladdy Guerrero just lit it up in single A, double A, and triple A.
And it was fun watching them play for the Bisons here in our hometown, right in our backyard in Buffalo.
It was really cool. I've been to 2 games for the Buffalo Bisons that really stand out to me in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go to the final scheduled game for Steven Strasburg when he was coming up as a prospect. His final scheduled game in the minor leagues was against the Bisons. That was an incredible experience. The place was packed. You could just tell he was throwing smoke. He looked different out there. And funny story with that, as they announced that he was being hit for in like the 6th or 7th inning, they announced that he was coming out of the game and a pinch hitter was coming in. The crowd just emptied out. It was obvious that everyone was there to see him. It was pretty cool. Going out there to see Vladdy Guerrero Jr., also very cool. He looked like a special prospect out there. Obviously, I've got a real liking for him. One of my favorite players.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up was his daddy.
That's my guy.
Vlad Sr.
Yes, sir.
Love that guy. One of the most entertaining players to watch. No batting gloves, didn't matter. Went out there, hit everything. Hit a ball for a hit that actually bounced on its way to the plate. He could generate power from a ball at his ankles to up over his head. Great guy to watch play. And Vladdy's got some of that in him, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that he's got the power that his Poppy had, but
he definitely got some pop on his swing.
He sure does.
Yeah.
He put on a show in the home run derby.
Yes, he did.
He in actual game, he seems to me like he's going to translate more into a maybe an on base and batting average type guy more than a slugger. But the power is certainly there. It's not. It doesn't go against logic to say that he couldn't end up being a big time home run guy. He showed some decent pop at all levels of the minor leagues. Again, so young, hasn't showed it quite yet on the major
20
league
years
level.
old.
Yeah, crazy.
20 years old.
So bright future. Man, that top 4 is really nice. And then they came in and they added some pieces over the last couple of years that are going to be helpful to their order. Travis Shaw is a guy that I like a lot. Had a great 2017 and 2018, a bit of a down 2019, but I think that's a great pickup for them. Somebody that protects those young guys in the order.
Yeah.
That's a nice little pickup there as well.
Yeah, he's looking to get back to his 2017, 2018 numbers there for himself. How do you feel about them defensively? I hear that they have more of like a weaker outfield.
Well, they recently lost Kevin Pillar, who was one of the better outfielders in all of baseball. He went over to the Giants, and now, if I'm not mistaken, he's over with the Red Sox. But, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Randall Grichuk certainly aren't your most fleet-of-foot outfielders, so at the corner spots, there might be some trouble there. If Anthony Alford can hit his way into the lineup, that's a guy who's an outstanding defender.
Yeah.
Just athletic. Man, it really impressed me. I watched his numbers from afar, and I always heard that he was a very athletic guy, and then actually watching him play, he passed the eye test. So if he can swing a bat that's good enough to crack that lineup, that's a very athletic guy they have there. You might be thinking to yourself at this point, man, with all this happy talk with the Rays, or excuse me, with the Jays, why do we have them rated so low? Why does everybody so down on them? And I think that comes down to pitching.
Yeah.
It's no secret pitching super important.
Yes.
And I just don't think the Jays have it this year.
I mean, they try to beef up their lineup this year by adding a couple of names. You got, help me out with the name. Is it
Ryu?
Yeah. Jin Ryu. You got Chase Anderson and then Tanner Roark. So they brought in a couple of guys there. You got Shoemaker potentially coming back to the mound with returning from a torn ACL. I mean, last year he started off the season 3-0 with a 1.57 ERA, and that was in 5 starts. So we'll see if he can come back. 24 strikeouts. So, overall though, their bullpen. Would you say the bullpen is pretty solid?
I like Ken Giles as a closer. That's a proven guy. He's been really well respected as a closer. He's had his moments where he's been blown up a little bit, but I'd say all in all, a pretty respected closer there. You have quite a bit of beyond that though, some unproven guys that, frankly, I don't know. I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough to overcome some of the problems that they're going to have with their starting rotation. I like some guys like Jordan Romano and Wilmer Font. Those are some guys that can give you some innings. Sean Reed Foley is a younger guy that I thought was going to be a starter. That seems like his role is actually going to be in the bullpen now.
Yeah.
There is some excitement with a prospect. He's one of the better prospects in baseball. The guy's absolutely enormous. He's like 6'6" and an intimidating presence out there. His name's Nate Pearson.
Yeah.
Absolute fireballer that they think is going to come up and pitch this year for the Jays.
Nice.
So that's kind of exciting. That might give a little injection of some excitement into their pitching rotation. But again, with Ryu, Chase Anderson, Tanner Roark, if that's your big three, that's going to be problematic
I got you.
in an American League East that features a lot of good lineups. Furthermore, you mentioned it, Matt Shoemaker, former Angel, so you might be a little bit more familiar with him as an Angels fan, but this is a guy that just unfortunately cannot stay healthy.
Yeah.
Every year, I feel like he starts out 3-0, an ERA in the threes, looks to be like he's finally fulfilling his promise, and he's going to be the guy. And then the injury bug bites him over and over.
That's tough.
So it is tough, but that's a guy, if, after missing the start of the season, can somehow figure it out and stay healthy, he is a front of the rotation potential ace in the waiting. So I think for the Jays to have any kind of success, as good as they've been, Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Vlad Guerrero Jr. are going to have to take another step forward, and you're going to have a guy kind of come out of the woodwork to be a true ace, maybe like a Shoemaker or even a Tanner Roark or Nate Pearson.
I got you.
But other than that, I'm looking at a fourth place projection in the AL East.
Yeah, Pracoda got him winning 77 games, and they only have a 0.1% chance of winning the division, 3% chance of winning getting to the playoffs, I should say. But with the Blue Jays, it's not really about the immediate future. What you're looking to really do with them is build a foundation, establish a culture, and you have some very young prospects who you want to get some playing time, get some experience, and within the next 2-3 years, they could potentially be competing in that AL East for that division crown.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it, man. I had them for exactly 77 wins as well.
Nice.
I didn't. I just made that up on the spot.
Hey, man, nobody had to know that.
But I'm just going to agree. I think that they're going to be somewhere in that 70 win range. They're going to win some games. Their offense is going to be enough to win them some games. I just don't know that their pitching staff doesn't unfortunately take them out of some games. But I really like what they're doing there. They're building a great foundation of really good young players.
Yeah.
If that team can kind of blossom together the same way they've kind of risen up through the minors together, they come up, they form a solid foundation, and ultimately that's when you can start adding some pieces, right? If they bring in an ace in one of the next few upcoming off seasons, if they add another slugger to the lineup that's a little bit more, say, a little bit more reliable than what we've maybe seen out of some rookies or second year guys, they could be real contenders within 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Plus, the city of Toronto is awesome, man. So hopefully they can get it together within the next couple of years and be able to compete and be entertaining.
Yep.
That wraps up another episode of Quick Hits. We are going to be discussing the next episode here to wrap up the AL East with the Baltimore Orioles. All right, and we'll close it out there. Thanks for listening. Make sure you drink some water. Take care.